everyone, it's Shannon here, and welcome to a Cherry on Top's May video hop. This month's theme is favorite tool, and the tool I'm featuring is the Spellbinders Glimmer machine. And here is the Glimmer machine. I have it plugged in or ready to go. You can see my green light there says that it's ready for my foil plate. I'm going to use this Gilded butterfly foil plate from Waffle Crafts. Turn on the timer here. It will start blinking. Once it's done blinking, which you see here, that means it's ready for me to make my sandwich. I'm going to use this beautiful Pewter Glimmer foil today. I've cut a small piece. Now I'm going to place the shiny side or the colorful side down. Then I will detach my platform and really start to construct my sandwich. I have my cardstock. Next is the thin shim. And then we'll finish our sandwich with the spacer pad. Now I'll take this and run it through my Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine. And here is the finished foiled butterfly. Very beautiful, going to add a subtle little shine to our butterfly. Now I'm going to grab the Gilded butterfly die and die cut out our butterfly. And I just used Neenah Solar White 110-pound cardstock for this butterfly, so that's what I foiled on top of. Now that it's die cut out, we're going to grab the Gilded butterfly coloring stencils and we're going to add color to this butterfly. I'm going to start with stencil 1. There's just 2 in this set. Line it up. Grab a couple pieces of tape to kind of hold it in place so it doesn't shift on me. And I'm going to start simply by ink blending all the openings in mustard seed. I'm using a small blending brush, but you could use any size for really this first part because we are just getting flat color down over that stencil. Now we're going to add a little gradation. This is where you're going to want to use a smaller blending brush. I'm just going to add a little bit of this spiced marmalade to the edges of each of the sections in this butterfly wing. This will just add a really nice gradation, incorporate a little bit more color, and definitely add depth to the wings. So I'm going to just repeat that on the right side or the right wing as well. And now we are done with that first layer for our butterfly. So now I've grabbed stencil number 2 and they are labeled in the upper right corner. Used a couple pieces of tape again to hold that stencil in place. And for this first color, this is Spice Marmalade again. I'm just going to do a nice flat blend with that orange. Once we finish with that, we're going to grab a darker shade. This happens to be Ripe Persimmon. I almost took my stencil off here, but I need to leave it on because I have to do that little gradation again to these segments in the butterfly wing. And this is actually I'm not getting as much contrast here as I like. I'm going to carry it out, do both sides of the wings with this Ripe Persimmon, but this orange, this Ripe Persimmon is just not quite dark enough. And I decided to actually bring in a red, which is Festive Berries, and then just repeat that process. Add a little bit of the red to the edges of the segments of the wings just to get a little bit more contrast. And so we really have that kind of really notice that gradation a little bit more. And that actually completes the color part. So now I really wanted the rest of the butterfly to have color as well. So I decided to do a resist technique. So I've realigned the first stencil. You're going to do both, so it doesn't matter which one you start with. So I realigned the first stencil and now I'm ink blending over the openings with a embossing ink. I'm using Versamark clear embossing and Watermark ink blended over it. Now I'll take my die cut and I will dip the edges into this clear embossing powder, top off the excess, and then I will heat set with my heat tool. This embossing powder, now that it's heat set, will trap that ink underneath and protect it for when we later ink blend on top. So now we're on to the second stencil, just repeating the process, adding ink blending over with the embossing Watermark ink, then pulling off the stencil, of course, then dipping it into our clear embossing powder. You want to make sure it's clear so you're not losing all that beautiful color that we blended earlier. And then once I get that powder on, then we'll, of course, heat set with my heat tool. And then we will have this butterfly, all that beautiful color that we ink blended earlier, protected for our next step, which is where we add color to the rest of the butterfly. So for the rest of the butterfly, I'm going to start with Seedless Preserves, and I'm going to ink blend kind of the outer part of the wings of both the left and right wing with this beautiful kind of purple wine kind of color. Once I finish with that, we'll move on to black soot, and I will ink blend the body of the butterfly with this black. And I am kind of creating a little gradation here. I'm not keeping the black just on the body. I'm having it kind of flow out to the wings a little bit as well, because I want a nice smooth gradation between those two colors. Now that I've ink blended, I will take a dry towel. This is a microfiber towel, but a paper towel would work as well. And I'm just cleaning off those areas where we heat embossed, which is actually being the resist right now, providing that resist to the ink, cleaning those off, and we're left with those beautiful yellow and orange sections, but they're beautifully contrasted with our Seedless Preserves and black soot areas, and it just really is a cool technique. So now we're going to move on to the rest of our card. I have a die here. I'm just going to die cut a panel with one of these stitching dies, and then we will move on to kind of figuring out where I want this little cute Flutter By Trail Die to go. There's a whole bunch of these trail dies in this set. I chose this one here that is like a heart. It's going to add this little beautiful stitched heart detail to our panel and just add a little bit more to this very clean and simple card. Now we're going to move on to our sentiment. I have the For the Ladies combo. I've actually already stamped Mom in black ink and die cut it out with the matching die. I'm going to position it here on my panel, so it will help me kind of figure out where I want my kind of sub-sentiment to go. This sub-sentiment has this beautiful arch to it, which I think is so pretty. I'm just going to stamp it in Versafine Onyx black ink. It's the same ink I used for the Mom, which I've already did off camera. Now that I've stamped my sub-sentiment, we are pretty much ready to pull this card together. I'm going to start with our smaller I'm going to start with the Mom and glue that to our smaller panel. Once I get that down in place, then we'll move on to lifting this panel up with some foam adhesive. So I'm going to grab some foam tape here and just add some strips. Of course, you could just glue this directly to the card front. I did add an A2 panel of some mustard yellow cardstock to my A2 top folding white card base. And now that I've added the foam adhesive, I'll stick that white panel down on top. Then we'll finish with our butterfly. I want to pop the butterfly up as well, so I'm going to add some foam adhesive to the back side of it, remove the backing, and then we'll just add it above that cute little heart trail, that little stitched heart trail, and that will actually complete the card. I'll pick it up here and hold it to the camera so you can get a good look at all the details. I love that shine on that butterfly, not only the heat embossing, but the little bit of glimmer foil that we added to it. And it's such a cool technique to be able to have color completely all around, no white areas on this butterfly, thanks to that resist technique and those layering stencils. I hope you guys enjoyed today's card and video. If any questions about the products I used, please check out the links below in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.